Hey guys! Okay, so this is your optional assignment. So this is just a little extra test review. We did division last week, we did multiplication the week before that, and we did addition and subtraction the week before that. So it's been quite a while since you added or subtracted. Some of you may have already done the quizzes, and if you're good, then you obviously don't need any extra help. However, some of you, I think, needed a little more instruction. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to do 2 addition, 2 subtraction, 2 multiplication, and 2 division. Okay, so for the first 4, the 2 addition and the 2 subtraction, there's only one way for you to do it. You write them all out, add them together, or subtract them, okay? So those, when we get to the bottom, multiplication and division, there's 2 ways to do it. So we'll do one way and we'll do one the other. Okay, let's go ahead and start with the first one. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to write these in standard form. So you're going to put your decimal. So in 3, it goes to the right, and you're going to move it 4 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put your zeros in there. So your first number is 30,000. You're going to put your comma here. So you have 30,000. And your second number, you're going to move it 5 to the right. Your decimal 5 to the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, 5 already takes up 1 place, so you're not going to put a 0 in there with the 5. You're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. Okay, so this number is 250,000. Now be very careful. Do not line these numbers up from the front. You've got to line up your ones place with your ones place, your tens with your tens, your hundreds with your hundreds, okay? So you're going to go ahead, or if you like to line up commas, you can do that. So we're going to start from the right side. 0, 1, 0, 10, 0 hundreds, 0 thousands, 5 10,000s, and 2 100,000s. Okay, and then you add them together. 0, 0, 0, 0. 5 and 3 make 8. 2 plus nothing is 2. So your answer in standard form is 280,000, okay? The only extra part here is that most of your questions on your test are going to have you click the answer in scientific notation. So you just need to make sure you know how to convert these to scientific notation. You need to put your decimal in here so that it's a number equal to or greater than 1, but less than 10. So it's going to go right after that first digit. Your first number is 2.8. Times 10 always comes next. And then you count to the end of the number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, then if you're a checker and you want to check and make sure that your standard form is the same exact as your scientific notation, then you would move this decimal 5 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means you'd have 4 zeros and an 8. These numbers are exactly the same. So this is your answer. If you want to, this assignment is uploaded, so you can do the problems first and then come back and check them just with my answers if you would like. It's totally up to you, or you can, if you feel like you just need to do them with me, you can watch this video and do them along with me. Okay, so the second one, we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to write our numbers in standard form, or standard form first. We're going to move 5 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We move 2 blanks. Remember, 0 is a blank, 1's a blank. 1, 2, 3. So our number is 501,000. I use blue for this. 501,000 plus this number. We're moving the decimal 4 to the right because it's a positive 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That 2 takes up 1 place, and you have 3 zeros. Remember, again, you're not going to automatically put the 5 with the 6 under the 5. You've got to start from the right because we're talking about place value. Ones place, tens place, hundreds place, thousands place. You got to line them up based on your ones place. Okay, so you have 3 zeros, 1, 2, 3, comma, and a 2 and a 6. Okay, so this is how you line up your numbers. Then you add 0, 0, 0, 1, and 2 make 3. 6 and nothing is 6. 5 and nothing is 5. Your standard form answer is 563,000. Okay, we do want to write this answer in scientific notation as well. So we have to put our decimal so it's a number between 1 and 10. Remember, you don't want to leave off any numbers. If you leave off this 3, it's like leaving off $3,000. You don't want to do that. You want to use every number that's not 0. So 5.63 is your first number. Times 10 is always in the middle. And then you count. This is where we moved our decimal to the very end where it was. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you can check. If I move the decimal 5 to the right, do I create this number? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I do. There's no extra zeros. There's nothing missing. Okay, so this was addition. You write them in standard form. You line them up. That's probably the biggest thing for a lot of you, is that you remember to line them up from the right side. And then you write your answers in scientific notation. Okay, don't forget, you can use a calculator if you need to. You have them. I'm not going to act like you don't have them in front of you, so you're more than welcome to use them. Okay, so now let's look at our next two that are subtraction. So I'm going to use different colors so that you don't get confused by what you're looking at. I'll use black for this one. Okay, so once again, we have two positive exponents, so we're going to move our decimals right. So we're going to move this decimal 6 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 8 and 7 take up 2 of those places, so we have 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. So our first number is 9, 8, 7, and 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. So that number is actually 9,870,000. Don't forget we're subtracting minus 4 times 10 to the positive 4th power. So we know we have to move 4 to the right. Be careful with your decimal. This is a whole number, so it goes to the right of the 4. If you put it in front of the 4, your answer is going to be wrong because this is going to be the wrong number. So to the right of the 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. So we create the number 40,000. Remember, you start from the right. 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros, and the number 4. Okay? Then all we do is subtract. 0 minus 0 is 0. 0 minus 0 is 0. 0, 0. Okay, so then we have to be careful because you may have to borrow. 7 minus 4 is 3. 8 minus nothing is 8. 9 minus nothing is 9. Thankfully, we didn't have to borrow. And your final answer in standard form is 9,830,000. Now think, if you are subtracting, this number should be smaller than what you started with. And it is. We started with 870,000. Now it's only 830,000. Okay, so it went down. Okay, last but not least, you need to change this number into scientific notation. So you're going to put your decimal right after the 9 so that it's less than 10. You're going to use your first 3 numbers. 9.83 is going to be the first number. Times 10 is always next. And then you're counting to the end where that decimal originally was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you moved your decimal, you created your number in standard form, created the second number, you lined them up based on place value, so on the ones place, you subtracted and wrote your answer in scientific notation. All right, now I want you to be really careful with this fourth problem. There's something special about this one that some of you probably haven't seen these type of numbers in a few weeks, okay? These are negative exponents. We didn't use negative exponents for multiplication and division, okay? So be careful. -3 and -4 mean we move the decimal to the left and to the left both times, okay? So we're going to get very small numbers. This isn't anything different. All you're doing is move. It's not harder. You're just moving the decimal to the left, but some of you haven't seen them in a while, so don't freak out. All right, so that means we're going to move the decimal 3 to the left. There's not a whole lot of room there, so I'm going to rewrite 1.5 below it, and then I'm going to move the decimal 3 left. 1, 2, 3. Now be very careful. We have moved this decimal. It's not there anymore, okay? It's not back there. It's in the very front. Do not put 3 zeros in front of that 1. 1 takes up 1 space. 1 0 takes up 2 spaces. 1 0 takes up 3 spaces. So your first number is 0.0015. Minus, now we're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to rewrite it below it because we don't have a whole lot of room. So I'm going to start over here, 2.5, and we're going to move the decimal 4 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now my decimal's in the front. That one has moved. That decimal's not back there anymore. 1 spot's the 2, another spot 0, a 0, and a 0. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So 0.0015 minus 0.00025. Now, if you have a calculator, go for it. You want to subtract them that way? I don't care. I'm going to set it up, and I'm going to actually subtract. Be careful. With decimals, place value changes, okay? It's not that you're not doing anything different. It's just that place value looks different. Your decimals line up, your tenths place lines up, your hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, and so on, okay? So make sure you line your numbers up this way. The 5 and the 5 should not be on top of each other. When you're subtracting, you do have to subtract some from something, so you got to put your 0 there. Okay, so now we have to start off by borrowing 0 minus 5. You can't take little 0 and subtract 5. So we're going to borrow from 5 and make it 4. And we're going to give that extra 1 to the 0. So 1 and 0 makes 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 4 minus 2 is 2. 1 minus nothing is 1. 0, 0, and don't forget your decimal. So this is your answer in standard form. It's a very, very small number. Remember, scientific notation is for really big numbers and for really small numbers. Okay, the very last thing that we need to do is write this number in scientific notation. Now, the rules still apply. We still are trying to create a number that is equal to or bigger than 1, but less than 10. So we can't put our decimal here because 12.5 is bigger than 10. You have to put it right after that first number that's other than 0. You've got to use everything behind it. So your first number is 1.25 times 10 always comes next. Now, up here, we were counting from where we moved the decimal to where it was. Well, you do the same thing. It was here, we moved it to here. So we're trying to figure out how many spaces we moved it. 1, 2, 3. Okay? Now you got to ask yourself one thing. This exponent is positive because 280,000 is a very large number. This exponent is positive because 563,000 is a very large number. This exponent is positive because 9,830,000 is a very large number. The difference here is 0.00125 is a teeny, 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 tiny number. So you don't want to keep this exponent positive because that would move the decimal to the right. We want to move it left, so we have to make our exponent negative. And remember, if you want to check and see if these are the same, you can. If you move this decimal 1, 2, 3 left, does it create the answer that you had? And it does. Okay, so there are your 4 answers for adding and subtracting. So you do the same thing every time. You move the decimal whichever way it's supposed to move. You either add them or you subtract them, and you write your answer in scientific notation. For the bottom 4 problems, there's 2 ways to do these. So we're going to do them in order. We're going to do the first one, method 1, then we're going to do method 2. We're going to do the first one with method 1, and then we're going to do the second one with method 2. Okay, you could do them both ways if you just want to practice. It's totally up to you. All right, here we go. So method 1 says we're going to do it just like we were doing all of the other problems. You're going to make your numbers, you're going to write your numbers out in standard form, you're going to multiply them together. So that means we're going to move this exponent, or this decimal 6 right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That means we're going to have 5 zeros, and that 6 takes up 1's place. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that number is 2,600,000. And we're going to multiply that by the second number. So remember, we're moving our decimal 3 to the right. 5 doesn't have a decimal in it, but we know in whole numbers, our decimal goes to the right. So 1, 2, 3. So that should be 5,000. It doesn't really matter how you line it up because we're going to use a calculator and multiply them together. All right, so here we go. 2,600,000. Make sure you have the same amount of zeros. There's not commas in a calculator. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 times 5,000. Okay, so we talked about this. In a calculator, what this means is kind of written in scientific notation. You need to move the decimal 10 to the right. Okay, so we're going to, I'll show you, I'll explain that in a second, but there's an easier way to do it. If your calculator does this and you don't know what to do, then remember, don't worry about all of these zeros, okay? The numbers that you really want to focus on are the 2, the 6, and the 5. So you can multiply 26 times 5 in your calculator and get 130. And then you count how many zeros were in your problem. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you're going to have 8 more zeros in your answer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So our answer is, let's see, hundreds, thousands, millions, billions. 13 billion. Now let's go back to the answer. I got my calculator. Okay? What this means is that I need to move my decimal 10 to the right. So I had 3.1. My bad. No, I didn't. I had 1.3. And I need to move it 10 spaces to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this answer is actually the same exact thing. It's just written different. The calculator is just not big enough for you to get the correct answer or to fill in the whole answer. So if you get something like this in your calculator, it means take this decimal and move it 10 to the right, and you'll get the correct answer. Okay, so now we have to write this in scientific notation, which is going to look very similar to what this calculator got. So we're going to put our decimal between the 1 and the 3 to make a number greater than or equal to 1 but less than 10. We're going to put times 10 in the middle, and then we're going to count to the end. It was originally here. This was an extremely large number, so we're going to count from here all the way to the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And if you see, it's the same thing on our calculator, except your calculator really can't put the times 10. So this is how your calculator, or a lot of calculators, write scientific notation. Okay, and there's your answer. All right, some of you like this method, and you can use this method on every single multiplication problem. Some of you don't love that method, okay? So what we're going to do here is first we're going to take out the parentheses. So we're going to have 6 times 10 to the 5th times 4 times 10 to the 2nd. Okay, then we want to put the numbers together, and we want to put the tens with the exponents together. So really what we're going to do is we're going to switch the order of these middle guys. So we end up getting 6 times 4 is going to be your number in front, times 10 to the 5th, times 10 to the 2nd. That's going to be your answers in 2 parts. Your number, and then your times 10 to a power. So this is going to give you the 2 parts. So you do what it says. 6 times 4 is 24. That's your first number. And then for the times 10, you got to figure out how many 10s you need. Well, we learned that you can write this out. How many do you have to start with? 10 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many more? 2 more. 6, 7. So you have 10 to the 7th power. Okay, so this is all fine and dandy. Some of you think this is really easy. If you remember that you add your exponents, 5 and 2 to get 7, then you probably did this even faster. However, 24 times 10 to the 7th power is not correct scientific notation because 24 is too large, okay? So this is where you have to, this method too, you have to do this extra step, okay? So we need to first figure out what this number is talking about. In 24, the decimal is to the right. They're talking about the number 24, and you move the exponent 7 right. So we're going to have 24 and 7 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so 24 and 7 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So our answer is really 240 million. We need to write this in correct scientific notation. So instead of having my decimal here where it was, we know it has to go between the 2 and the 4. So my first number is 0.4 times 10, and then you count to the end where that decimal originally was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So your answer is going to be different. You don't just put a decimal there and just call it a day. Okay, so these are the same numbers. You're still talking about 240,000 both times. However, this is the correct answer. It's written correctly in scientific notation. Okay, so here are your 2 answers for your multiplication problems. We did method 1 the first time. And then method 2 on the second problem. If you don't want to have to do this, then don't do method 2. Do method 1 every time. You'll get an answer in standard form, and you can always write it in scientific notation. Okay. Number 1, for division. So we're going to do it the same way as we did addition, subtraction in the first method for multiplying. So we're going to write the numbers out, and then we're going to use our calculator and divide them. All right, so first things first, remember that in 5, it's a whole number. Your decimal starts to the right, and you're going to move the decimal 4 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means your first number is 50,000 divided by, you're going to move this decimal 2 to the right. 1, 2, 250. If you want to rewrite it as a fraction, if you like it better that way, then you can do that. If you would like, these numbers aren't super big, so you can go ahead and put 50,000 divided by 250 in your calculator and get 200, okay? If you like the rule where you get to scratch out a 0 and make them shorter, then your number turns to 5,000 divided by 25, and you get 200 either way. So it doesn't matter how you do it, you're going to get an answer of 200. So all we did is we wrote them in standard form, put them in our calculator, and divided and got 200. All right, last step is we have to write this number in scientific notation. You know you need a number equal to or greater than 1, but less than 10, so it's always going to go right after that first number. 2 times 10 always comes next, and then you count to the end. 200, the decimal was already all the way to the right, so you're going to count 1, 2. And your answer is 2 times 10 to the second power. You know this means move the decimal twice. If we were to move the decimal 1, 2, we would get 200. It's the same thing. Okay. Method 2 is a little bit different. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to rewrite this as a fraction. 9 times 10 to the 6th divided by 3 times 10 to the 2nd. Okay, so what we're going to do here, just like we did for multiplication, we're going to use our numbers, and then we're going to put the tens with the exponents together. So we're going to look at our two numbers, and then we're going to look at our tens with the exponents. Okay, so first up, you're going to divide the numbers. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Put times in the middle. Then you're going to look at your tens with your exponents. So I'm going to get a little sheet of scratch paper. Where is that? Hold on a second. Okay, so if you know the rule for this because you've been doing them, then that's fine. If not, remember 10 to the 6th power means you have 10 sixes on top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you have 2 on the bottom. 1, 2. You cancel them out. 10 divided by 10 is 1. 10 divided by 10 is 1. You have 4 tens left on the top, so it's 10 to the 4th power. So you have 10 to the 4th power left over. Or if you remember your division rules for your exponents, if you have the same base, you can subtract your exponents. 6 minus 2 gives you 4. So either way, you get the same answer. All right, so here are your 2 answers for your division problems. All right, so, whoops. That is absolutely everything for this assignment. Remember, you didn't have to do it, but it was a quick review on addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. You are going to see all of this on the test that you take this week. So if you have any questions, please let me know before you take the test. I believe there's 1 addition, 1 subtraction, 1 multiplication, 1 division, and then there's 3 problems that are one or the other, okay? So if you have any questions, let me know. Hope you have a good day.